a friend of the family, Jesse Francis, with us. Jesse, welcome to Clown Corner.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, James.
Well,
Appreciate it.
I know you're wanting some heads up on what I was going to ask you in advance, but I like to keep people on their toes. So
Alrighty.
Jesse joins us. I've known Jesse since he was a very young man, probably since he was maybe 13, 14 years old. He is now fully grown, and he is a worker in the healthcare field. Jesse, what do you do?
I am a registered nurse in the ICU at Olympic Medical Center.
Awesome. So that is why you're
Yeah.
here. It's not just for that handsome mustache that I see you're
You like
supporting me
that?
with.
That's just
But
for you, man.
I'm gonna ask you a couple questions so we can get to know you before we dive into some of the subject matter, because I do want to know more about your experience being in the ICU this past year. But
Yeah.
first, I'm going to ask you three personal questions. Question number one: if you are heading to a family potluck and you are charged to make something, what is your go-to dish that you know you can knock out of the park? What are you bringing?
What am I bringing? I made this like really good like cheese dip this one time for the Super Bowl, and like it was gone in like 5 minutes. So I think I'd probably bring that cheese dip again.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Or is it like a buffalo chicken cheese or like a cheese queso
Um,
or what? You know me, I love my food.
there was like I put like 5 different cheeses in it, and there was like corn. It was like a corn cheese dip. It was like I don't even know. I got it online somewhere. I don't remember where it was from.
Love
It was
it.
good though.
That sounds awesome. I'm all about chips and dip. Question number two. If you had a 10-day paid for dream vacation, no limits, no nothing, where are you going for 10 days?
I've always wanted to go to Australia, so I think I'd go to Australia. Yeah.
What's the pull there? You want to go to see the cool bridge in Sydney, or is it beaches, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, there's this like white sand beach there that look really cool. I don't know, just it always interests me. I want to see some kangaroos, so I want to go down under.
Now this is a knife.
Oh my god!
See, I got to diffuse you and be a cornball. That makes everyone happier and looser. Okay, last but not least, a favorite question I always like to ask, because we all need new content these days of sitting at home. You're killing time. What are you watching on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime? What's something that's kind of a guilty pleasure that you enjoy watching?
Ooh, as of late, I've been watching this show called Below Deck. It's like these people on a yacht who like work there. It's kind of just silly reality TV.
You're not the first person who's told me about that. It's kind of like
Really?
a glimpse between people that, working for the wealthiest of wealthies and what goes on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's a little interesting. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you feel a little loose, limber. You feel good? You ready to answer some questions now?
Yeah. Let's get started here.
All right. So, talk to me a little bit about how long you were in the nursing field before last March, because I know you haven't been in long. So March is
Yeah.
when kind of chaos hit. But how long were you in beforehand?
So I started in September of must have been 2020. Um, so not
2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. So not long. I'm a new nurse. I've been nursing for like a year and a half now. So yeah, I just kind of started this, and I had to go through like 6 months of training before I was like on my own. They let me be on my own, and so like right when I started on my own is like COVID just hit. So like all I've known pretty much is just COVID related nursing kind of. So I dropped in at the good time here. So
So when people say let's return back to normal, you don't really know what the new normal, what back to normal is.
yeah, I got like a little taste of it, but things have definitely changed, and so yeah, it's a little different now. But I think we're kind of finding some like normalcy through it all at this point. We're kind of past like the rough, like figuring out what to do and how things work. So um, things seem normal at this point. We're kind of in a groove, I think.
So talk to me. You're like the poster child for the program at Peninsula College, because you were born and raised here in Clallam County, went through the program, and are now working here in the local facility. Can you kind of talk about how you ended up in the program and timeline and kind of how all that worked for you?
Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2014. At that point, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I went to PC, just took some general classes, and then nursing. I kind of figured out I wanted to be a nurse. My aunt's a nurse. She kind of talked me into it. And PC has a great program. And so I started hammering out my prerequisites, which takes about 2 years to do. And then I applied for the nursing program. And I got in there. I think in 2017, I started that. And then that's a 2-year program. And they just got a new building there at PC for nursing. And it was a really great opportunity and worked out really, really good. And so then I graduated 2019 and then got a job at the hospital.
And I'm thinking it probably wasn't too hard to get a job. I mean, once you finished and completed all the prerequisites, you probably had quite a few options because I mean, you're in demand, right? You're in a high demand field.
Yeah. Yeah, you can pretty much go anywhere with nursing, which is like one of the things that really attracted me to this job. And PC and OMC work pretty closely together. So it was, they like to hire new grads. So it worked out really good.
And you are currently working, I think you got off this morning at 8 a.m. So you work what I would call the graveyard shift. Do you have another name for it, or what do you call it?
Yeah, just the night shift, man. So this is like 2 a.m. for me.
So I know that we are treading a fine line because with HIPAA compliance and all that, I can't ask you blow by blow details on any actual procedures or anything like that. So yeah. I'm going to do my best to tone down some of my questioning, but
all right.
There had to be something after all your training and everything that when you were kind of cut free and like you said, okay, now I'm finally my own. Was there one thing that you were like really nervous about, like doing your first IV on your own, or I don't even know what, I'm lucky enough not to know much about the ER and the ICU, but was there one thing that like had you kind of nervous for a while?
Well, they do a good job at school, like prepping you for stuff, but obviously you can't get all the experience in school. And then I had like a 6-month preceptorship at the hospital where I just shadowed a nurse and they were like watching over me. And so there's always like experienced nurses there that are going to help you out if you have any type of questions. But I mean, yeah, there's always a little bit of nerve doing anything new, I guess. So I'm sure when I did my first IV, I was a little nervous, but yeah.
You're like shaking old still.
No, I was like, oh, I've done this a million times. But yeah, if I have any questions or concerns, I always ask somebody, and there's always help there if I need it. But I feel pretty confident in the things I do, and as a nurse, and yeah. So sometimes I feel nervous, but for the most part, I'm pretty confident that things will be okay when I'm doing them.
So, and I'm sure you are because you're well trained, you got good people looking out for you. So that was a little bit of a loaded question, but talk to me about your kind of like, I guess your emotional state when you first found out really what COVID was. Because I recall back in March when we shut the office, there's a time period there where people coming in and kind of still like goofing around, like elbow bump and toe kicking and how you doing? But like there was no masking. There's like, we didn't know back then, we didn't understand and really know what we know now, almost a year removed. What did you feel like, put yourself 10 months back and you're like mid-April in the thick of it and the whole world shut down. How are you feeling going into work?
Yeah, there's just a lot of hype, and it was just so new for us as well. It's not like I knew anything extra that everybody else didn't know at the beginning of it, so all I heard, I just heard what was going on in the rest of the world. By the time April hit, it was like we were just preparing. The hospital was just preparing. We were stocking up on ventilators, trying to acquire extra PPE. So it was a little nerve wracking. Like, is this gonna really hit our community? Are we gonna are we gonna be in an emergency here? But I think luckily, we are in a rural community, and that's something we're fortunate for. It's not like it hasn't been like New York or those high density population areas. So I think we're lucky in that regard as to COVID, because we were able to kind of hold our own, and it wasn't the big boom like we were kind of expecting, I think.
I have friends in the fire department, and there's just a lot of, forecasting, and you use data and analytics, and there's a lot of guessing. It's just like the weather too. You think something's happening, and there's always this anticipation of this big swell of numbers.
Yeah.
And we definitely had little micro pockets that seemed to kind of like spike.
Yeah.
But with such, like you said, a small population density, one big household or one small group of employees with 20 people, like that can change your ratios by a huge amount because we're so small of accounting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're just lucky in that regard. We're in a beautiful place and small town, and that's kind of one of the benefits of it, I guess.
Did you get to have the benefit of wearing any custom made sewn PPE? Were you ever at a point where you were a recipient? Because I know there's a huge effort locally where PPE is being created by people for the frontline workers. Did you ever get like a gargantuan sized robe that would fit everyone that was like floral print or anything?
5 cooking aprons just tied into one just around me? No. There was definitely like a progression of like PPE as far as like what to wear. So we started off, we could wear like any type of mask we wanted, like fabric masks were okay. And so people from the community were making us masks, which was awesome. Thank you, everybody. And then I think we kind of caught up on the PPE thing. So we were able to acquire more. So now we're definitely have like surgical masks that we can wear, and several different types of masks. So we're not allowed to wear fabric masks anymore. I never had to wear any type of homemade like gowns or anything like that. But yeah, for a little bit, the whole country was like short on PPE. So I think we were switching through different types of gowns. Some seemed a little more cheaply made than others. But we always had, I felt like, a pretty good amount of PPE, and now it doesn't even seem like a problem. I think like the hospital has done a really good job at keeping up with being able to give us all the right PPE that we need. So, yeah.
Well, your 15 minutes of Clallam fame is just about up, but you have a big fan club at Castell Insurance between your mother working at the agency. Shout out. Look at you repping that.
I'm threaded up, baby.
All the subliminal marketing. I appreciate that. As you can see, I'm almost always repping the bridge as well. But any last words that you want to say to your friends and family? Because they're probably the only ones who've made it to the end of this. So any words to your mom or your aunt who helped you get in on this? By the time I started doing like the dance move before the questions, most viewers have tuned out. So any last minute messages for your mom or aunt or anyone out there that's fallen in love with Nurse Jessie?
What's up, Mom? Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. No, I guess not. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Nope, no really big shout outs, I guess.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate what you've done. I cannot imagine, I look back to when I was first entering the labor force, certainly not in as high a stress job as you, but man, thank you for your service. You guys have really become, I think, what a lot of people now see as the true heroes, the frontline people doing the nitty gritty stuff. It's not just police officers and firefighters that are out there, helping our community stay strong. So for you and your service, thank you for the 15 minutes of fame after working the night shift. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, thank you. And thanks to all the other nurses out there and healthcare workers. Everybody does an amazing job. So thank you.
Well, thanks for joining the show. We'll talk to you later, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
All right.